Hi there, beautiful soul. Welcome back to my channel to elevate your mind with Ale. I am Ale, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. It is the first full moon of the year, also known as the wolf moon. A full moon is usually about forgiveness and gratitude. The full moon is generally considered to be the mark of the end of the lunar cycle. Of course, the lunar cycle never actually ends, at least it hasn't to date. Rather, the moon is forever waxing and waning. The full moon is also seen as the climax of the monthly lunar cycle. The energies build and build and build to the full moon, and then bam, there some full moon madness followed by some of cosmic lunar sight. At this time of the full moon, we've been asking or forced to deal with our stuff, which, as I mentioned earlier in other videos, is why some people seem to go a little loony patoony in the full moon. So the full moon then is all about peaking and releasing the old, letting go of lower energies that come from upsets or any negativity and events, as well as negative patterns that you may have fallen into. It's also about releasing toxic thoughts, habits, ways of being, and indeed toxic people. It's culmination time. It's letting go and clean slate time. It's the beginning of the year. Time to start clean. It's when we should release the things we don't want, like guilt, fear, disappointment, jealousy, anything that's counterproductive. Of course, the full moon is a powerful time for inner work, for looking within, healing, shifting blocks, and shedding the past. When the moon is full, it is at its brightest, and it can shine light on all of our darkness. Look outside. The moon is full. It's bright. You are not in the dark. And the deepest parts of ourselves that we usually can't see are being able to see. We are able to see them because they have come out, and we can search for them, look into them. The full moon also creates something of a tug of war in us. We have the sun in one half of our horoscope chart and then the moon on the exact opposite. So we see where things are out of balance and bring them back into harmony. Working too hard? You need to focus on. If you're working too hard, you need to give yourself time to rest, to be with your family. The full moon reminds us to pay some attention in our working life. Spending too much? Even at the time of the full moon can remind us to rein things in. Giving too much? The full moon is a time to remember to take as well. Take what you deserve. So like I mentioned, the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So you know that the full moon takes place in a different sign of the zodiac each month. And as you know that each sign offers a different vibration and a range of themes for us to work with. You can use your heightened emotions at this time of the full moon to ask yourself some of those hard questions. So this will be a guide to the full moon in each sign. The advice in this guide is going to apply to all of us regardless of our personal astrology. The reason is that this is a lunation, in this case a full moon, in a particular sign, and it therefore has a flavor of its own, no matter which rising sign we are in. So what you first need to do, if you haven't done so already, or if you don't know this, is you need to figure out what your rising sign is so you can move forward into your guide. Once you've done that, you'll be ready to look at what the full moon means for you personally as it moves through the houses. So like I mentioned, this is a guide to how the full moon in each house will affect you personally. I will start from the first house and I will end in the 12th house. Since we are in the full moon in Cancer, the rising sign Cancer is in your first house. So full moon is in Cancer, and if you have Cancer rising, you need to focus on your first house. And your first house is about your image. It's your image zone. So for the next 2 weeks, expect to turn the corner in one way or another in your personal or professional life. An emotion alert. The full moon can bring up intense feelings about your appearance, stresses, strains in a relationship, and it can be a big turning point. A big message that I have for you is that it's all very well and lovely to be focused on someone else. It certainly sounds like a valiant thing, but once a year, the full moon lights up your first house to remind you that you also need to focus on yourself. Many of us are giving rather than takers. And while that sounds great, it actually messes with the flow in our lives. The full moon in our first house is time to remember how to say yes when people offer to help you and to ask for help if you need it and you're not getting it. So you could feel extra emotional during this cycle, but a lot of the stuff that's coming up for you needs to be dealt with. So don't run away from it. Remember, the first house is all about you. You are the focus. So release any issue that you have about your appearance. Feeling too fat, too thin, too anything is going to negatively impact your life and stop us from getting out there and reaching our full potential. So stop doing that to yourself. Work on yourself and find at least one or two things about yourself that you know are totally gorgeous, no matter what others feels about you or no matter what others might say about it. You might have different looks than everybody else, and that is okay. That's what makes you you. Focus on what you love. Play it up and reveal it in. This is an important and somehow extra personal full moon for you. Use it to work on what you want to take with you into your next 12 months and what you and who you want to leave behind. This can be a very emotional time. So be cautious that a tug of war may arise between your needs and those of the people who are most important to you. Find a balance between your lover, your partner, your ex, anyone else in your life who counts as a VIP and you. This can be a time when you realize you've been too focused on someone else. It's time to focus on yourself for a while, or totally contrawise. It can be a time when you realize you've been acting a little selfishly and need to give someone else your time and attention. It's all about me and you, much as it is in the 7th house, full moon in your next 6 months. This is your chance to make a twice yearly adjustment. So forgive. Forgive yourself. Remember that the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So if there's anything that you want to forgive yourself for anything that you always portray yourself to do and put yourself down on. Just forgive yourself. You are a human living a human experience. You are entitled to make mistakes and keep trying again. Okay? So forgive yourself and be grateful. Write your gratitude list and then burn it. The mantra that I suggest for you is to use the mantra RAM this month. Chant it out loud or silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any other time that you feels right for you. An affirmation that I would consider you do is, I am turning the corner. So on the night of the full moon, say, I am turning the corner, and say it out loud. Say it proud. So the full moon in Cancer is in your 2nd house if you have Gemini Rising. So for the next 2 weeks, you need to focus on your 2nd house. And your 2nd house is all about your cash, your property, your value zone. So in the next coming 2 weeks, you need to breathe through any financial dramas and focus on finding a solution. The emotional alert. The full moon can bring up intense feelings about your financial security and stability and about your self-worth. The message that I have for you is that this full moon reminds you that a balance is needed between what you do for yourself financially and what you do for others. There's your income to be considered and your debts. There's your self-worth and what you think you're worth as a person. And then there's what others are willing to pay you, which is usually based on what you ask for. at least within reason. If you're about to make a major purchase, you're doing it at this time, okay? So if you've been letting someone control you because they have financial power over you, it is your chance to break free. Right now, it is your chance to break free. This full moon is also reminding you that you need to take care of your intimate life. Don't neglect it because of worldly concerns. Release any issues that you have about money. The second house is all about cash, property, possessions. So at this time, there could be some kind of climax or conclusion connected to cash. If you've been fearful regarding cash lately, work with this full moon and the associated affirmation to release that. You can move into your better financial cycle right now. One thing to be strongly aware of is that your self-esteem will affect how much cash you attract. So be careful. A tug of war may arise between your own money and what other people pay you or owe you. So find a balance between any issue you have regarding give and take. If you want to earn your own cash rather than be employed by someone else, this is a very good time to plan your exit strategy or cut the ties. If you've been too focused or dependent on someone else, now is the time to bring your attention back to your own situation. It is a good time to get your head around the idea that the universe is abundant and that there's more than enough for everyone. You deserve to be abundant. Like I said before, the full moon is all about forgiveness. So forgive yourself and anyone else you need to for times when money has been an issue. And be grateful. Make your gratitude list. Write all the things that you are grateful for. And then let it go. The mantra that I suggest for you is to use the mantra Lamb. This full moon, chant it out loud or silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any other time that feels right for you. You can also download a mantra song type of thing to help you, to guide you. An affirmation that you should use is the night of the full moon is all of my needs are met. I am worth it. Repeat that again. All of my needs are met and I am worth it. Because you are worth it. Now, let's go to the next one. The new moon in Cancer is in your third house if you have Taurus Rising. The third house is all about communication. It is your communication zone. So for the next 2 weeks, you could say more than you mean to. So please be careful. Emotional alert. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about siblings, about neighbors, and about whether or not you should be honest about how you feel. Be careful about what you say. Communication is very important right now. Message that I have for you is that it is a very well dreaming of the great escape, where you and possibly a loved one or two decide to take off to see the world, or at least the nearby countryside. But what about the details? This full moon reminds you that there's a lot of work to be done close to home, things that need taken care of, and items on your to-do list and to be checked off. It's also a celestial reminder that you seriously need to express yourself. If you haven't been honest about how you feel, now is the time to start to say your piece, whether you're talking face to face, Facebooking, emailing, tweeting, whatever it is, whatever kind of communication. I'm talking about texting, calling, emailing, whatever it is, any kind of communication where you're communicating with someone else. Dramas with siblings are highlighted now and can be sorted out. So just be cautious of that. Release any issues that you have about communication. Your siblings, your neighbors. Be extra careful not to allow disagreements to escalate out of control. For some, the full moon here will reveal the information that needs to solve a long-standing problem or query. Be careful what you write down on paper and in an email, in a text, on social media, anywhere. Right now, at this time, you just need to be cautious of how you communicate to others. Emotions are running high, so don't hit send and then regret it. Problems with siblings and neighbors can come to a head. Now, issues can be resolved with forgiveness. Remember, it's often less what you say than how you say it. So, a tug of war may arise between where you are and where you think you would like to be. So, find a balance between your own backyard and the big wide world out there. This is also a full moon that can trigger some kind of development or resolution regarding a legal issue. Distant friends and relatives can loom larger, as can trips away and job opportunities abroad. Where do you want to be? Here or there? Remember that the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So forgive. Forgive yourself for any negative words you've spoken. Forgive your neighbors. Forgive your siblings for any upsets. And be grateful. Make your gratitude list and then burn it safely. The mantra that I suggest for you is the mantra hum this month. Chant it out loud, silently, every day, while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any other time that feels right for you. The affirmation that I suggest for you to say the night of the full moon is, as I express myself with love, life brings me all I need. Repeat that again. As I express myself with love, life brings me all I need. So, the next one is the new moon in Cancer will be in your 4th house if you have Aries Rising. And the 4th house is all about home and family zone. So for the next 2 weeks, pay attention to what your family needs and your own needs for personal space and private time. The emotional alert. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about your family. Bless them. A message that I have for you is working like a dog to achieve your personal goals sounds like a very good thing, but there's a time and a place for everything. And at this time of your 4th house full moon, you're in a cycle when the planets, the sun and the moon in particular, are suggesting that you need to find a balance between your outer aims and your goals and your inner needs. Perhaps your family needs you to spend more time with them, or perhaps you just need some time with nothing on your mind. Take a look at your family relationships and ascertain if everything is running as smoothly as you like it to be. If not, then this is the time to pour some energy into that part of your life. Release any issue that you have about your personal life, your home life, and your family life. Issues to do with your family can come up now, so be ready. Don't dread this. Rather, see it as a chance to sort out any outstanding upsets. Our family members are people with whom we have a very karmic connection, and any issue that comes up to do is to help us evolve. The full moon here can also be a time when we make changes to where we live. If you are not sure about the best way forward regarding your home or where you call home, meditate on it. Ask your archangels, goddesses, guides for direction. Anyone that you call upon for guidance, call them now. Issues and projects connected to the home can be resolved right now. This is the perfect time for that. A tug of war may arise between what you want to achieve in your life professionally and what you're required to do at home. So find a balance between your personal life and your career. Maybe you're a driven person who forgets to have a personal life and neglects your partner, your friends, while working long hours. Or perhaps you are a family type who knows you have more to offer to the world. Either way, this is your time to strike a balance. Ambition and family work well together. Success can allow you to spoil your loved ones, and your desire to provide for your family can inspire ambition. Like I've said, the full moon is a great time for forgiveness and for gratefulness. So forgive yourself For any upset that you have had with your family or flatmates, make your home a peaceful sanctuary where you can get home and feel at peace and not feel drained and chaotic. And be grateful. Make your gratitude list. Write all the things down that you are grateful for and then safely burn it. The mantra that I suggest for you is that this full moon you can use Om. Chant it out loud, silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any other time that feels just right for you. Affirmation that I would suggest for you on the night of the full moon is I am safe and secure. Repeat that again. I am safe and secure. Okay, so that's it for that one. We're off to the next one. So the full moon in Cancer is in your 5th house if you have Pisces Rising. The 5th house is all about kids, romance, your creativity zone. So for the next 2 weeks, you need to check whether you're having enough fun and if fun is good for us. The emotional alert is the full moon can bring up intense feelings about an issue to do with a child, either your own or someone else's, your love life, or a creative project that you've been working on. A message that I have for you is there's usually a whole lot of emotion going on in your chart in your life at this time of the full moon in your 5th house of self-expression. You can be pouring your heart out, and perhaps because you're sad, or maybe just because you have a lot of emotions to download. And for some of us, it's about the joy that a child or our own or someone else's can bring. You know how kids are. They're fun. They're not worried about bills. They're not worried about things. They're just worried about how much fun they can play. For others, it's about pouring emotion into a creative project that you've been working on. While this is going on, you need to find a balance between yourself and your friends. Don't neglect them totally. This is your challenge for the coming month. Release any issue that you have about allowing yourself some time off. The past few weeks may well have seen you working very hard, but now you may feel put upon by the need to look after your friends. Turn that around. If you can, make this a very sociable time in which the person having the most fun is you, not another person. I don't want you to feel like, oh, look at that person. That person's having so much fun. No, you need to have fun. You need to feel the most fun, enjoyable person around you. An issue related to a child, either your own or someone else's, can come to a peak right now, hopefully for resolution in any way that makes everyone happy. If you have a creative project on the boil, it is a very good time to complete the latest stage or even finish it off altogether. A tug of war may arise between what your friends need and what you need for yourself. Self-expression is a focus, as are kids and creative projects. So find a balance between how much you are catering to the needs of the groups and social circles to which you belong versus how often you are taking center stage. Being yourself, speaking up, and letting the world know what you have to offer. It's safe to be with lots of people doing what they do, but this is the time to show the world who you are. Stop following others and do you. If a love affair ends now, it is doing so at the perfect time. One that starts now can be a very feeling-filled relationship that may even wax and wane with the moon. So be careful with that. Like I've said, the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So forgive anyone who drags you down. Yourself for any time you felt you were not a great parent, or any time you took life too seriously. Be grateful. Be grateful for your life. Make your gratitude list. Put all the things that you are grateful for and then burn it and let it go. The mantra that I suggest for you is to use the mantra VAM this month. Chant it out loud, silently, every day, while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any other time that feels perfectly right just for you. The affirmation that I recommend for you on the night of the full moon is I am a creative being. Repeat that again. I am a creative being. Yes. And that is it for the 5th house. For the next one, the full moon in Cancer is in your 6th house if you have Aquarius Rising. And you know that if the 6th house is all about your daily work, your health zone. So for the next 2 weeks, you need to find a way to bring peace into your life. Emotion alert, this full moon can bring up intense feelings about what you do every day to earn a living. It can also hold fears about health, which may well be totally unfounded. The message that I have for you is, if you're one of the lucky ones, you've been working on yourself. This is a full moon where you see yourself for who you really are. You therefore see your good points as well as your flaws, and you decide to do something about your flaws. This is all about the daily life you lead. Are you living in a healthy fashion? Are you getting out and about to exercise? How are you long ago giving up bad habits such as smoking and partying too much? If not, then this full moon is your annual chance to start again when it comes to taking care of yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit. Routines are your friends, and this full moon at work, go slow and steady. Release any issues that you have about habits that you need to break. This part of your chart is concerned with the daily rhythms of your life. If you're not happy with the way you're doing things, with the way your life is going along, with your morning or evening routines, this is the full moon to tune into it, to let go of the old ways and to start to do them differently. In particular, any unhealthy or even toxic habits should be released right now. Be it not drinking enough water, or drinking too much alcohol, or not doing enough exercises, or eating too much, or not eating enough. Our daily habits impact our health, and your 6th house is about habits and health. So look up after your habits and your health. You need to take care of itself, of yourself. A tug of war may arise between your need to deal with the real world and do your duty and your needs to find some peaceful time out. So find a balance between your daily grind and the mysterious cosmos. Yes, you heard that correctly. Most of us have a daily grind of some kind of, things we need to do, responsibilities. We have to take care of duties we can't avoid. And then there's the bliss, the peace, the time out, the meditation, the contemplation, the great void or the gap, the mysterious place in the universe where we can just be. Introducing a daily meditation or yoga practice can really help with balancing things up at this time of the full moon in the 6th house. In fact, I highly recommend it. The full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So forgive the people you see every day whom annoy you in little ways, quite possibly in much the same way that you niggle them. Forgive yourself for any unhealthy habits and make some changes and move on. Be grateful. Write your gratitude list. Write all of the things that you are grateful for till this day and burn it and let it go. The mantra that I suggest you do this month is hum. Chant it out loud, silently, every day while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any other time that feels right for you. The affirmation that I suggest you do on the night of the full moon is, I am in perfect health. Repeat that again. I am in perfect health. And that ends the 6th house. So we're going on to the next one. The new moon in Cancer is in your 7th house if you have Capricorn Rising. The 7th house is about your love. It's your love zone. So for the next 2 weeks, you need to expect relationship issues to come to the fore. Yay! Emotion alert. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about your love life. The message that I have for you is this full moon suggests it is time for you to step aside a little. It's time to invest some emotional energy into your other half, your marriage partner, your significant other, or into other people in your life like a business partner, a friend, or even an anniversary. Me is fine at the right time. But now, for you, it should be all about someone else. At the very least, there should be a balance. If someone else needs your attention, the full moon can also bring closure. So if you're in a friendship or a relationship that's ending now, you can proceed, knowing that you're finishing things up at exactly the right time. Celestially speaking, release any issues that you have about love and relationship. Love and relationships. This can mean your present romantic situation or one from the past. The whole point of relationships on a karmic level seem to be about us mere mortals learning lessons through other people. Someone who pushes our buttons. Someone that is going to teach us more about ourselves and how to handle ourselves than someone who doesn't. That's why so many wonderful relationships are quite intense at times. That's the result of two souls evolving and learning to love through the tough times. Full moon in the seventh house can also be a time when we decide to sever ties on a relationship that has reached its use by date, and that is okay too. That means ending. Some people come to us for a reason or a season, as the saying goes. Some people are here for us to only have a relationship with them for a month, for 6 months, for a year, for half of our lifetime, to literally one day. Every single person that you come across is meant to come across so you can learn something from them or they can learn something from you. It's all about learning and evolving. A tug of war may arise between what you need and what your partner or boss or best friend or other VIP needs. So you need to find a balance between thinking of yourself and thinking of someone else. The emotional full moon in your seventh house puts the spotlight on how you feel about someone important to you. This is also a very good time to practice your negotiation and compromising skills. Whether the relationship in question is with your lover, your partner, your ex, your business partner, or an advisory. See what you can do to find common ground, and you will have milked the best of this full moon. Remember, the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So forgive anyone and everyone who isn't you. And then forgive yourself for any relationship mistakes you think you've made. Believe it or not, there's really isn't such a thing as a mistake. Everything happens for a reason and everything is perfect just as it should be. And be grateful. Be grateful. Get your journal out. Make your gratitude list and then safely burn it. The mantra that I suggest for you to do this month is yum. Yum. Chant it out loud or silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any other time that feels just right for you. The affirmation that I consider you do on the night of the full moon is: I am loved, I am loving, and I am lovable. Repeat that again, please. I am loved, I am loving, I am lovable. So that's the end of that one. We're going to go on to the next one. The new moon in Cancer is in your 8th house if you have Sagittarius Rising. The 8th house is all about sex and shared finance. This is about your financial zone. In the next coming 2 weeks, sort out your feelings about sex and money. The emotional alert. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about your sex life and your finances. The message that I have for you is this full moon is all about finding a balance between what you give in life and what you take. If you know you've been doing too much of either, this full moon is most certainly the time to redress the balance. The problem is that when we give too much but don't know how to take, we actually mess with the natural laws that governs free flow. How can the universe send you an abundant stream of good things if you're not receiving them without a fight? This full moon also heralds a very good period to attain to practical financial matters, such as paying off debt, settling bills. It is a very good time for investing some emotions in the bonjour. Release any issues that you have about anything that's holding you back or bugging you down or stopping you from living the life that you want. The eighth house is all about death, rebirth, reinvention, transformation. It can be a scary part of the chart. After all, it is where death and taxes reside. Those subjects can come up when this part of your chart is being triggered. But don't worry, this full moon happens here once a year at least, and you're certainly not likely to have to deal with the heaviest aspect of it annually. Rather, look at the full moon here as a chance to transform as a person. It's about cash. More about that below. A tug of war may arise between your money and where your money meets someone else's. So find a balance between how much you think you're worth and how much you're actually being remunerated for your efforts at work. It's about your self-worth versus the worth of someone else who puts on you. It's also about being your own boss financially versus depending on others to pay you. Your salary, your debt, anything. Financial windfalls and inheritance aren't out of the question when this part of the chart is active. This part is also about sex, and issues about sex and sexuality can come up. This is a good because it is the right time to deal with them and move on. Remember, the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude, so forgive anyone you feel has overstepped the mark, hurt you, or broken a taboo subject around you. Also, forgive yourself for any problems that you've had with money and stop blaming yourself for them. And be grateful. Be grateful. Get your journal, your pencil, your pen, and write your gratitude list and let it all go. Release it and burn it. The mantra that I suggest for you is VAM. It is a mantra for the full moon, so chant it out loud or silently every day while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any other time that feels right for you. The affirmation that I suggest for you on the night of the full moon is, I shed my past and I evolve. Repeat that again. I shed my past and I evolve. Okay, so that is the end of the 8th house. Now to the next one. The new moon is in Cancer in your 9th house if you have Scorpio Rising. Your 9th house is all about the big picture. So for the next coming 2 weeks, you need to deal with the worries that you have connected to study, travel, or the great cosmic quest. The emotion alert. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about where you're going, your life philosophies. The message that I have for you is personal growth, religion, philosophy, publishing, the internet, travel, study. These are just some of the subjects looming large for you when the full moon takes place in your 9th house. Be honest with yourself. Have you been fussing too much over the details of your latest problems or tasks? Sometimes that's just a delay, a tactic that we need to take a step back and look at the big picture of where we are and where we want to be. Are your life and your mind expanding or narrowing? If you've stopped being adventurous, then you only have yourself to blame. This is a time to try something that lies beyond your usual realms of everyday. Release any issue that you have about the grass is being greener on the other side. The full moon here means it's time for you to see the bigger picture of your life. You may be having a crisis or wondering whether this is all there. Take a moment to see the broader vista. Hopefully, doing so will prompt you to count your blessings. This is also a time for you to think about whether you want to get away from it all or stay right where you are. Will the grass be greener if you go away? If you're staying at home, someone abroad could also have your attention. There's no way of telling. Also, at this time, Legal issues can resolve themselves or at least come to the foyer. A tug-of-war may arise between being here and wanting to be there, being torn between home and away, small ideas versus big ideas. So find a balance between your thoughts and your faith. This is a chance for you to let go of fear and limited ideas and to accept the concept of power, bigger than all of us in the greater unknown. If you're going through a dark night of the soul at the time of your ninth house new moon, at least take solace in the fact that your timing is perfect, cosmically speaking. This is a chance for you to grow spiritually and to expand your understanding of the world around you. Open yourself up to new ideas. Remember, the full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So forgive. Forgive people who are narrow-minded, or yourself if you've been narrow-minded. And be grateful. Make your gratitude list. Express yourself of how grateful you are, and then burn it and let it go. The mantra for this month is chant it out loud or silently every day, while you're in the shower, before or after meditating, or any of the time that feels just right for you. The affirmation that you should do the night of the full moon is, I know I am blessed. Repeat that again. I know I am blessed. Okay, so that ends that one. On to the next one. The new moon in Cancer is in your 10th house if you have a Libra Rising. The 10th house is all about your career. So in the next 2 weeks, sort out issues related to your work. Emotion alert. The full moon can bring up intense feelings about your career and professional trajectory. The message that I have for you. If you've been hiding yourself away and generally keeping a low profile, watch out. The skies are suggesting rather loudly that it's time for you to step out of the shadows and back into the limelight. As tempting as it might be to slouch around at home, the full moon in your 10th house is telling you it is time to invest some emotional energy in your professional life. Even if your work has been the source of annoyance lately, don't give up. For some, a work situation or project comes to an end now. Don't panic. Remember, the universe abhors a vacuum and something new will come to it and take its place soon enough. How committed are you in your goals? This can be your time to shine at work. When the full moon takes place in your 10th house, aka your career zone, it's a thought you're being pushed into the spotlight professionally, ready or not. For some of us, it will be because a big work project is coming to fruition. Hopefully, you will receive accolades for all of your hard work. On the other hand, if a project or a job is coming to an end now, there's at least consolation in the fact that it's happening in divine timing. This is a good time to ask yourself how you feel about your career. Where do you want to go next with it? Release any issues you have about your workload and how it impacts your home life. A tug-of-war may arise between your duties at home and all that you need to do to get ahead in your career. Find a balance between who you are inside versus who you are in the world as someone who does or doesn't seek to achieve. As with the full moon in the 4th house, this lunation asks you to find a work-life balance. There could be tension or demands at home that are affecting your ability to function at peak level at work. Or work dramas could be keeping you from living a rich personal life. Whatever the case is, this is the second chance you have in the 12-month cycle to find a balance. For some, recognition comes now. For others, it can become the clear that more emotional investment is needed professionally. Remember, the full moon is all about forgiveness. Forgive anyone you feel has done you wrong professionally and yourself for any untoward behavior at work ever. And be grateful. Make your gratitude list and burn it. Mantra that I suggest for you is chant it out loud or silently every day in the shower, before or after meditating, or any time that feels perfectly right just for you. The affirmation that I recommend you do the night of the full moon is, I have a perfect work. In a perfect way, I give a perfect service for perfect pay. Repeat that again. I have a perfect work. In a perfect way, I give a perfect service for perfect pay. This perfect affirmation comes from the game of life and how to play it. Okay, so that's the end of the 10th house. And on to the next one. The new moon in Cancer is in your 11th house if you have Virgo Rising. The 11th house is all about your friend zone. So in the coming 2 weeks, you are going to deal with any upsets with friends. Emotion alert. The full moon can bring up intense feelings about friendships or unfulfilled dreams. The message that I have for you is it's tempting to focus on yourself and your own pleasures. Perhaps you're a creative type who loves to express yourself. And why not? After all, life is for living and having fun. However, this month's full moon in your 11th house is reminding you that you need to find balance between indulging in a little bit of what you fancy and remembering that the people in your life also need some attention. Whatever from you. So whatever you do now for someone else, you get extra karmic brownie points. This is also makes the coming month good for networking. What are you dreaming of? And do you know anyone who can help you get it? The full moon here casts a warm and gentle light on your wishes, and they are working for you. Are you getting what you're dreaming of? And if not, why do you think that is? It is strange, but true fact that sometimes we just know we're not going to get what we're paying lip service for wishing for. Sometimes we know on an intuitive level that something is never going to happen, or perhaps we no longer want what we once desired. This full moon in your 11th house is the ideal time to release anything like this into the ether. This part of your chart is also crucial about friends and networks. How are you with your friends now? Are you happy with them? Would you like to make new friends? Issues related to friends could arise at this time. So breathe deep before you deal with them. A friendship that ends at this full moon is definitely ending at the right cosmic time. Release any issue that you have about what you've been wishing for, and their dreams that don't seem to manifest or friendships that are troubling you. A tug of war may arise between who you are versus who your friends are. So find a balance between what you need for yourself versus what you need to do for and give to your friends. The 11th house is about the clubs, groups, social networks you belong to. When the full moon falls here, chances are you will have at least one friendship that needs your attention. Are you pulling your weight within your group or friends? Or does someone have cause for complaint? Or is it you who feels somehow someone else could be a better friend? This full moon here reminds you that you have to have balance, your own needs with those of your social circles, networks, and groups. Remember, the full moon is about forgiving and being grateful. So forgive any friend who hurt you at any point in your life and yourself for whatever you feel you did or didn't do in a relationship to that friendship. And be grateful. Make your gratitude list. The mantra that I suggest for you this full moon is Om. Chant it out loud, silently every day, in the shower, before or after meditating, or any time that feels just right for you. The affirmation that I consider you to do on the night of the full moon is, I am a great friend and I attract great friends. Or, my dreams and wishes are now manifesting. And that is the end for the 11th house. So the new moon in Cancer is in your 12th house if you have Leo Rising. The 12th house is all about the secrets. It is the secret zone. So for the next 2 weeks, take time out. Emotional alert. This full moon can bring up intense feelings about your secret self. The message that I have for you is Life has probably felt very busy recently, and no one can blame you for wanting to take some time out. The full moon in your 12th house is going to allow you to do just that. For many people, this full moon comes at a time when they're feeling a little bit down in dumps. But the fact is, they are likely just exhausted after the efforts of keeping up with the demands of daily life. Take some time out. Meditate or practice yoga. You need to strike a balance between working and taking time out. The worst thing about a 12th house full moon is that it forces you to look at where you might have been sabotaging yourself with your own behavior. The best thing about a 12th house full moon is that it forces you to look at where you may have been sabotaging yourself with your own behavior. Get it? The 12th house is unfortunately known as the house of self-undoing. We all have 12 houses, and we all have parts of ourselves that are indeed our own worst enemy. The good news is that when the full moon takes place in the part of your chart, it is a wonderful chance to identify that behavior, to see it for what it is, and let it go. So release any issues you have about things you don't like to talk about. Forgive other people for anything they have done to you, and forgive yourself for anything you've done to yourself or anyone else, overly or covertly. A tug of war may arise between the things that you have to do every day to keep life tickling over and your need for inner peace. Find a balance between your daily life as a functioning human being and that secret side of you that is mysterious, delicate, and perhaps even a bit dark. And for some, it's what we think we should hide, and for others, it's what others, probably parents, have told us we should hide. This full moon can bring up some pretty intense feelings, whether we like it or not. We may even find ourselves apologizing because this is the house of self-undoing, and not expressing how we feel is a wonderful way to self-undo or self-sabotage. The month when you have your personal annual full moon in the 12th house is the ideal time to go on a retreat. If that appeals to you, it is time to do inner work and even to explore your spirituality. Sometimes this full moon will bring or reveal a big secret. Go easy on yourself at this time of the year. It's one of the most emotionally intense full moons. The next one will be a little easier. Promise. The full moon is all about forgiveness and gratitude. So forgive yourself for anything you feel ashamed of. Understand that there's nothing to be ashamed of. We're all growing. Forgive anyone else who has ever hurt you. Be grateful. Make your list, your gratitude list. Your mantra for this month is chant it out loud, silently every day, in the shower, before or after meditating, or any time that feels just right for you. The affirmation that I consider for you the night of the full moon is, it's okay to have quality time. Me time. Repeat that again. It is okay to have quality time. Me time. Okay, so that concludes the 12 houses in the full moon in Cancer. You now have all the information you need to work with the full moon. I hope this helps you out to predict your future with the full moon and to work with the magic of the full moon. And if you like this video, stick around for other videos. Like, comment, subscribe, and leave me a comment on what your rising sign is. Thank you. Bye.